From the Kansas City news leader WDAF-TV, this is Action 4 Nightcast with Cynthia Smith, Bill Witt, Dan Henry Weather, and Gordon Docking Sports.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Kansas City has lost a quiet hero, Dick Howser. He not only gave our city a World Series title, but he gave us a lesson in life. The determined man who managed the Royals lost his battle with cancer this afternoon.
Howser entered St. Luke's Medical Center for the last time 2 weeks ago when his strength began to fail. Gordon Docking joins us now from the newsroom with the story of a man who can only be called a winner. Gordon?
Bob, you're absolutely right. Dick Howser's determined battle against cancer simply reflected his approach to life and the game that he loved. Howser gave baseball many memorable moments.
Richard Dalton Howser. His ties to Kansas City go back many, many years. In 1961, as a young shortstop for the Kansas City A's, Howser was named American League Rookie of the Year. Years later, in 1980, Kansas City baseball fans saw Dick Howser once again, now manager of the New York Yankees, Howser losing to the Royals in the American League playoffs in 3 straight games. Despite having the best record in baseball that season, Yankees manager George Steinbrenner fired Howser when the season was over. That move proved beneficial for the Royals. Less than a year later, the Royals chose Howser to be their new manager, guiding the Royals to the 1981 divisional playoffs, the 1984 Western Division Championship, and in 1985, Howser took the Royals all the way to the top, the World Series Championship. The following year, last July, after managing the American League to victory in the All-Star game, Howser's cancerous brain tumor was diagnosed. Howser put up a courageous battle and even returned to the field for the first day of spring training, but the cancer had taken its toll. 3 days later, in an emotional team meeting, Howser told his Royals he was stepping down. Howser's last public appearance was on opening day at Royal Stadium, April 6th. He showed up unexpectedly during the middle of the game, and Howser received a thunderous standing ovation from the Royals fans, a memory that Dick Howser cherished. Everyone who met Dick Howser had nothing but respect for the man, a feeling Howser's players and friends remember.
A man that wasn't afraid of criticism. He went out there and managed the way he thought we could win ball games, and it was never more evident in the World Series and in the playoffs.
We won for him. We played well for him. He had a way of getting us ready and prepared, and we went over the wall for him.
He never criticized anybody, just went on doing his job every day, and I know he was a very outgoing guy, very soft-spoken and everything, but he had a lot of friends in baseball, and everybody admired him for that, and that's one thing about Dick. He never gave up on guys either.
A memorial service for the 51-year-old Howser will be held tomorrow. The public is invited to the service at the Village Presbyterian Church at 6641 Mission Road, beginning at 6 p.m. Funeral services for Dick will be Saturday in Tallahassee, Florida. Phil, Bob?
Thank you, Gordon. Ironically, the Royals played a game tonight against the A's, the team that Dick Howser started his professional career with.
That's when the A's were in Kansas City. And at Royal Stadium tonight, the fans remembered the man who helped bring them a world championship. That story from Doug Sudoff.
Dick Howser was remembered tonight at the stadium where he celebrated a world championship. Remembered with flags at half-staff. Remembered by the simple act of postponing an autograph session. And then, just before the national anthem,
we ask that each of you, in your own way, offer a moment of silent prayer for our beloved former manager, Dick Howser.
But then after the moment's silence, the national anthem, it was baseball as usual here tonight at Royal Stadium.
It needs a light.
But despite vendors hawking their wares, despite the plays and cheers, Dick Howser's death touched many of the fans at tonight's game.
The crowd's a bit more solemn. I heard about this on the national news, and I was quite stricken.
When I heard that he died, I felt really, really bad for all the other people that I know in my life that have died from the disease.
And Galen Chandler, a stadium usher for 5 years, years of ups and downs, and a world championship for the Royals, summed it up.
He should be remembered in this town, you know, as being one of the finest coaches we have. He took us to the World Series. That means a lot.
Doug Sudoff, Action 4 Nightcast.
The Kansas City economy is reeling tonight from a second major blow in as many days. Panhandle Eastern Pipeline Corporation, a natural gas distribution company, announced it is closing its Kansas City base and consolidating its operations in Houston. Panhandle Eastern has been in Kansas City for 57 years. By leaving, Panhandle abandons 3 big office buildings on Broadway and takes 960 jobs and a $32 million payroll along with it. Panhandle will transfer a few hundred workers to Houston, but the majority will take early retirement or severance pay.
Just yesterday, the Presbyterian Church rejected Kansas City's bid to become the church's new national headquarters. Now, that would have meant nearly 1,000 jobs to the city. That decision shocked everyone, raising questions of what went wrong when it appeared that Kansas City had things locked up. Ron Howard reports the finger-pointing continues tonight as Mayor Richard Berkeley called council members together to get and to give some answers.
Richard Berkeley has had a lot of triumphs as Kansas City mayor, but this definitely wasn't one of them. Instead of returning with a promise from the Presbyterians to move their national headquarters here, he comes back empty-handed, trying to explain why the Presbyterians chose Louisville instead.
I have to be candid. I'm just mad as can be about it. I think we've got some serious problems. I think we have to, I'm certainly willing to take my share of responsibility in it, but I think we've got to get to the bottom of it.
It appeared Kansas City had it in the bag as the choice of 2 committees studying the move. But when it came to a vote on the floor, Louisville's mayor and others made an impassioned plea. Tonight, Kansas City lobbyists disputed reports that they had a last chance to speak before the convention vote. They insist that opportunity never existed, and Mayor Richard Berkeley and other councilmen weren't there.
We just dropped the ball at the last moment and allowed them to snatch a multi-million-dollar economic development opportunity away from us.
Tonight, Berkeley was demanding an explanation from Kansas City representatives who were there as to what went wrong.
I think we need to get it all out on the table, find out what happened, what went wrong.
Berkeley and others here tonight say the most important thing is to learn from this and next time make sure the city's involved from start to finish. Because if Kansas City wants to continue to grow, we can't afford to lose another 900 jobs. Ron Howard, Action 4 Nightcast.
Now, surprisingly, despite the loss of the Presbyterians and Panhandle Eastern, the overall job market has taken an upswing in Kansas City in recent years. Figures from the Missouri Division of Employment Security show an increase of 79,000 jobs over a 4-year period. And that represents a 12% gain during that time. Those jobs come in a number of categories ranging from the service industry to construction, real estate, and manufacturing.
And yet, where do the recent economic disappointments leave Kansas City when so much appeared to be going right? Dan Coffran, a city councilman and the chairman of the council's Economic Development Committee, is here to discuss that issue.
Dan, thank you for joining us. We've suffered second-place finishes now with the Presbyterians, the Republican, the Democratic National Conventions. What is this saying? What does this say about Kansas City to some of those people who are thinking about relocating here?
Actually, Bob, it's good news. I know it's hard to say that this evening when we have what clearly are 2 serious disappointments in the economic development realm. No one's going to deny that. But in the total picture, wish these weren't so close together, but in the total picture, things, in fact, do look good for Kansas City. You referred just a moment ago to the job figures and the fact that we're always second. When you think about the fact that there are a number of large, major league cities in the country, and we're recently here doing a pretty consistent second, third, sometimes almost first, so to speak, shows that Kansas City has clearly become a national contender, and we get noticed now, whereas before we didn't.
Is the job, do you think, of economic development and the public agencies responsible for that being done correctly?
I think the work, Phil, is being done correctly. We know what to do. We know how to work on retention, expansion, attraction, starting from within. I think the job, quite frankly, is being done incorrectly in that we give inadequate resources in terms of funding and staffing to that area. We operate on a pretty thin string, and that needs to be enhanced, and that, in fact, is a major agenda item that the council is working on right now through the Economic Development Committee.
What sense do you get out of tonight's meeting very quickly? Did Kansas City blow it, or were the rules changed on us?
Basically, the rules were changed on it. We did one fine job. We've got absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. There was just, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. This was one of those times when, for now, we've lost this one particular game. This ball game is not over, though.
Dan Coffran, City Councilman, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Coming up with the Nightcast, a beer run ends in death.
And a fortunate ending to a car-train crash in Kansas City.
When you almost hate to drive your new car out of the driveway, it's time to review your car insurance. Come to Farm Bureau Insurance. Because in the city or the country, with over 400 agents and over 70 full-time claims adjusters just in the state of Kansas, we can make a difference and maybe save you some money.
Hi, Dad. Farm car today?
Sure.
Thanks.
Even if you have teenage drivers. Remember the name, Farm Bureau Insurance. City or country, we've got Kansas covered.
Here's a legal tip from Steve Schweiker.
A common legal question arises in automobile accidents when one of the drivers receives a traffic ticket. Should he plead guilty or contest it? Since a guilty plea is an admission which could later be used against you in a lawsuit, one solution is to plead nolo contendere or no contest and pay the fine. This avoids admitting guilt and saves the time and expense of a trial.
If you have a legal question, call Steve Schweiker for a free consultation. 383-2500.
It's an offer only Kansas City's #1 waterbed retailer can make. Buy a waterbed from American Waterbeds at tremendous savings, and the cool, relaxing Posture Flex waveless mattress is free. Buy the Savannah for just $199.
And the waveless mattress is free.
Buy the Rosewood for $299.
And the waveless mattress is free.
Buy the Sweden Oak waterbed for just $399.
And the waveless mattress is free.
Buy now with free financing, plus the waveless mattress is free. Today at American Waterbeds with 6 Kansas City locations.
We're having a $4 million liquidation sale this week only at Dick Smith Ford Subaru. It's the end of our business year, and we're forced to reduce our inventory. You'll save like never before. Buy a new Escort for just $149 a month delivered. Buy a new Ranger for just $133 a month delivered. We'll even sell with no down payment. It only happens once a year, and this is it. Every car, truck, van, and 4x4. Everything must go by the close of business this Saturday. The sooner you get here, the bigger the choice. Drive to Dick Smith Ford Subaru in Raytown.
A traveling salesman is in good condition tonight after a train hit his car late this afternoon. The accident happened at 63rd and Manchester Traffic Way. The salesman's name, Tom Schneider. Rescuers tell us his car was weighted down with merchandise, but they're not sure if that contributed to the accident.
A strange robbery last night in Kansas City, Kansas still has police asking questions tonight. Deidre Henderson went to a liquor store with a man to buy beer for her birthday. Apparently, to her surprise, her companion robbed the store, and the two made a run for it. The husband of the liquor store clerk gave chase in his car. It ended when that man ran over Henderson and killed her. The police have questioned the driver of the car and still haven't found the holdup suspect. Deidre Henderson would have been 25 years old today.
An investigation tonight of a near miss at Kansas City's downtown airport. A KLSI radio traffic copter nearly collided with a Piper training aircraft. Now, according to a witness, both the aircraft had to take abrupt, evasive maneuvers. The Federal Aviation Administration confirms that it is investigating the accident at the downtown airport.
The FBI would like to talk to this man tonight about a bank robbery in Lenexa. Charges have been filed against Andrew Sharp in yesterday's robbery of a bank in Lenexa. Agents tell the Nightcast they believe Sharp is still in the Kansas City area or in Lawrence. He is considered armed and dangerous. They also want help in finding this man who robbed the Safety Federal Savings and Loan in Independence yesterday. 2 men took part in that crime. If you have information, call the FBI at 221-6100.
Dan Henry joining us tonight with the forecast. I saw you back in the back wringing out your sports jacket a little bit earlier.
Yes, the moisture just from the air, not from the rain. There'll be more of that tomorrow. And if you're a light sleeper, you may wake you up about 4 in the morning. We'll tell you about it in a second.
It's Advance Carpet's giant factory-authorized sale. Get special pricing on beautiful cabin crafts carpet featuring stain blocker starting at just $9.98, only at Advance Carpet.
With the sky-high prices of new cars today, it just makes good sense to consider buying a pre-owned late model, one that will not take a lifetime to pay for and payments that won't break your back. Auto Credit Incorporated specializes in these pre-owned automobiles. You can buy and drive a safety-inspected vehicle today. Come visit your friend in the business, Auto Credit Incorporated, where financing for all is more than just a slogan.
Go down and let the deal make a deal and say,
Pack up and head out to the Royals Mariners game Sunday, June 28th, because all children 14 and under with a paid admission will receive a Lee Jeans sports bag. Great for baseball practice or overnighters, and it's both sporty and durable. So visit Royals Stadium Sunday, June 28th, when the Royals host the Mariners for Lee Jeans Sports Bag Day. Call 816-921-4400 and reserve tickets now.
get in the swing of it. Royals baseball.
Tim Daggett, Scott Johnson. They were U.S. gymnastic stars from the 1984 Olympics. Who will beat the American champions of 1988? See them in action when the McDonald's U.S. Gymnastic Championships come to Kansas City, June 18th through the 21st. Tickets are available at Kemper Arena, All Cats Outlets, and Divatic.
The Peace Corps. It's creating food systems in Africa, building homes in Costa Rica. It's fighting malaria. It's teaching math and learning French. It's working side by side. It's been tough, but for 25 years, the Peace Corps has been making a difference in the world. Peace Corps, the toughest job you'll ever love.
Well, we've held the showers off for a fraction. They're going to be around, but probably near dawn, so we may be waking you up with a little noise around Kansas City. I'll show you the line west of us in just a second. Right now, it's way west. 92 is our top today when a normal high would be 83. That gives you a little idea. What to expect tomorrow? Same old stuff, folks, about 93 degrees. The low last night was 72. We're expecting something about like that tonight, but so far we've only dipped down to about 83 and 86 at the two airports with the humidity that's still up there. You could cut it with a knife at 63%. Southeast breezes barely moving. Pollen count today only 79. No problems there. We have a steady barometer now at 29.95. Our sky still has patches of clouds in it, but so far around KC they've been dry, so no precipitation to report at this point. We do have quite a bit of it, as you can see, in a long line that extends from Texas up through the Rockies to the west of us. As we look at Skywatch 4 radar, it's really not as bad as it appears, but there are some very heavy cells in south central Kansas, and you can see some of those, or a part of the line on Doppler radar, which I'll show you in a moment. Eastern Texas, on up through the Rockies, very heavy cells all day long and very high winds, and also through Dixie. They've had a good deal of scattered activity. The jet stream is staying, for the most part, to the north, but it's funneling in, or helping to, that southerly flow of air into Kansas City. Lots of clouds to the west of us. Doppler radar's on a 200-mile sweep, and you can see out to the west some heavy cells that are sagging very slowly in a southeasterly direction. Now, out of our radar range just past Wichita, they have spotted a rope-type twister. That was in Comanche County in the south central part of Kansas. That's the only severe weather we've had thus far, aside from heavy rains, high winds, and some small hail. The cells to the west of us moving in our direction, but very slowly, and also up near Omaha. Nothing going on at the moment in Missouri. Let me show you very briefly the high temperatures today, the 90s. Tonight we've cooled down, but just to the 80s. Tomorrow back to the 90s in Kansas City. Problems with winds all over the place. 60-mile-an-hour winds, 73, 75, 60, all over the middle section of the U.S. of A. And a couple of watches still in effect until midnight for parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. The other figures are amounts of rain today in copious quantities in various locations. A frontal system trying to work its way through. By this time tomorrow, it will have sagged our direction a little bit, but we'll be right back where we started. Got a lot of impatient ladies that are waiting for me because they say this is not good weather for a hairdo. Anyway, a slim chance toward dawn for KC, otherwise partly cloudy and 73. Tomorrow's high about 93 again, just like all the rest of these days all week. Steamy again. Tomorrow night about 73 with a 20% chance, and the extended forecast finally shows a possibility of some cooler air, but not until Monday. In the meantime, we'll just have to, as they say in the meteorological business, sweat it out.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Gordon Docking is coming up next with tonight's sports.
An emotional night at the ballpark. The Royals against the A's, and Dick Howser remembered.
Hi, I'm Jim Martindale, and I'd like to introduce you to the Garden Weasel. It's a revolutionary 5-in-1 tool that makes gardening fun and easy. The Garden Weasel's 3 rotary blades mesh with a scissor action to break up topsoil. They uproot young weeds before they get a start. That mixes the weeds and leaves into the soil, and that's a mulch, and that's beneficial to your garden. The Weasel cultivates to a uniform 2-inch depth, protecting your plant's roots. Remove the center blade for cultivating around seedling rows and young bedding plants and vegetables. Use one blade for those hard-to-reach areas. Insert the short handle, and the Weasel is perfect for plant boxes and greenhouses. The Garden Weasel is made of a rust-free alloy that's virtually self-cleaning. Simply hose it off and allow it to dry. If you have a friend that's into gardening like I am, the Garden Weasel makes a perfect gift. Look for this display.
Now available at Osco, Sutherland's, Treasury Drug, Builder Square, Westlake Hardware, and participating Ace, True Value, and HWI stores. Perfect for Father's Day gift giving.
Our goal every day here at Fred Angle Nissan is to sell every new car from $300 to $600 less than any other dealer for the same exact model. But for a limited time, we're offering 20 to 80% off regular markup on every Nissan in stock. And you'll see a tag like this showing at least 20 and up to 80% off regular markup on every economy Nissan, sporty Nissan, family Nissan, luxury Nissan pickup. This offer may be discontinued at any time, so hurry to Fred Angle, where unless this emblem is on your car, you probably paid too much.
If you're a sports fan or just shopping for one, Merle Harmon's Fan Fair is the place to go. You'll not only find Kansas City's widest selection of Royals, Chiefs, and Comets products, but most every other team, too. Authentic jerseys, top-quality tee and sweatshirts, even pennants and wastebaskets. Absolutely no store matches Fan Fair for college apparel. In fact, Fan Fair has an exclusive line of its own college products. Drop by Merle Harmon's Fan Fair, Bannister, Metcalf South, Oak Park Malls, and the new AT&T Downtown Pavilion.
Gordon, with sports, lots of pent-up firepower and maybe just a little bit for Dick tonight by the Royals.
That's right. They talked before the game about going out and winning one for Dick, and that's just what they did. But first, let's talk about Dick Howser. Dick spent 25 years in Major League Baseball as a player, a coach, and a manager, and everywhere he was a winner. Tonight, baseball people all over America are remembering Dick Howser. George Steinbrenner, who fired Howser after losing to the Royals in the 1980 playoffs, described Howser as a man of pride and integrity and one of the supreme battlers he knew in sports. Meanwhile, across the state in St. Louis, Baseball Commissioner Peter Uberoth also remembered Dick Howser.
You know, a man of immense integrity, immense love for the game, a guy who gave. He constantly gave. And you know, I was telling different people today that we do a good job with history. Baseball does not forget. You know, you can take athletes in almost every other sport or any other walk of life, and they forget. But people will remember Dick Howser. He made a real impact on the game. He's a great gentleman.
Mostly what I remember about him is the All-Star game. The fact that on the Monday night after we went on ESPN, we were supposed to go on a television program next morning, and he told me that he didn't feel good enough to do it, and asked me if I'd get him out of it, and I said, yeah. I said, we made an agreement. If one of us went, both of us would go, and vice versa. So I said, we just won't go. And the people kind of thought I was lying, you know, that Dick really wasn't that sick, but he didn't feel good. And then if I look back, if I could recollect now, you know, he came to home plate that day for the All-Star game, didn't have a lineup card, and I didn't realize at the time that he was having the problems he was having, but I sure feel bad about it, and he's had an awful lot of courage.
It's my opinion, along with about everybody else that you ever talked to. They said this before Dick was ever sick. Dick Howser there was no better manager in the major leagues. I mean, he's as good as anybody. When you talk about the very best ones, the Whiteys and all these, and all the best ones, Dick was that good.
It's ironic that Howser began his playing career with the A's and ended his career managing the Royals. Tonight, the Royals played the A's out at Royal Stadium. Brett Saberhagen, after his 12th win of the year. Denny Treese is live at the ballpark, and Denny, I guess the Royals finally snapped that 4-game losing streak.
The losing streak is over, Gordon. The Royals win big tonight. We've got all kinds of highlights to show you, so let's get right to it. The A's scored first again. Carney Lansford singled in the game's initial run, just as he did last night. And then with runners at first and third and 2 out, a strange play occurred. Watch this. Oakland Super rookie Mark McGwire drove one to deep left center, but this ball was catchable. Willie Wilson didn't read it right after a long run, scored a triple and 2 more runs, 3-0 A's at that point. But the Royals came right back with 5 runs in their half the third. Kevin Seitzer's doubled the gap in right center, plated Jamie Quirk with the first one, and the fun was just beginning at this point. You'll see Danny Tartable come up and just hit a bullet to center field, scoring Seitzer and moving George Brett around to third. And then that set the stage for Frank White's 6th home run of the season. Key play of the game right here. This 3-run shot into the cheap seats and left put the Royals ahead 5-3, but not for long. In the Oakland 5th, Mike Davis pounced on a 3-0 pitch from Brett Saberhagen and belted it deep into the right field bleachers for his 17th home run, a 2-run shot that tied the game at 5. George Brett then promptly untied it with a mammoth home run almost to the back of the bullpen in right. The Royals were ahead to stay at this point, and if you like that one, you'll love this. Bo Jackson hits a rocket into the left field seats, his 14th homer of the year. No hang time on that baby. 10-5 the final. Saberhagen wins his 12th. And a prophecy is fulfilled. George Brett flatly predicted before the game the Royals would win tonight. He said Dick Howser has been too sick to even watch us play. Tonight, he could. Gordon, back to you.
Thank you, Denny. In the American League West, the Royals continue to chase the Minnesota Twins, but the Twins got whipped by Milwaukee. Let's check the scoreboard. Milwaukee wins at 8-5. There was a bench-clearing brawl in this game. We're going to see it here in a second. Seattle also shuts out Chicago. Scott Bankhead gets the shutout for the Mariners. Detroit edges Toronto. The Yankees over Baltimore by 1. Boston shuts out Cleveland. Texas and California no score yet. In the National League, the Cubs beat the Phillies. San Diego edges the Dodgers. And the Cardinals, for St. Louis fans, they lose to Pittsburgh 4-1 the final of that game.
Gordon. Coming up, a coming-out party in Chicago.
For a gangly guy named Billy B.
Next time on The Judge.
Judge Franklin, please, don't make me keep living there, not with her as a stepmother. Your Honor, the devil has her soul, but she can be saved. You must give control of her back to her father.
There's Ma Lucy at the trailer park wearing nothing but leather boots.
You gotta get her away from those religious maniacs. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Pass the shovel.
That'll be enough of that, young lady.
Weekdays at 3 on TV4. We're having a $4 million liquidation sale this week only at Dick Smith Ford Subaru. It's the end of our business year, and we're forced to reduce our inventory. You'll save like never before. Buy a new Escort for just $149 a month delivered. Buy a new Ranger for just $133 a month delivered. We'll even sell with no down payment. It only happens once a year, and this is it. Every car, truck, van, and 4x4. Everything must go by the close of business this Saturday. The sooner you get here, the bigger the choice. Drive to Dick Smith Ford Subaru in Raytown.
I'm Paul Murphy for Interstate Federal Savings. When my wife and I were looking for a loan to buy this house, we found our best deal at Interstate Federal Savings. If you're looking for a home loan or maybe thinking of refinancing your present loan, do this. Shop around. Compare interest rates and closing costs, and I believe you'll find your best deal at Interstate Federal Savings. They've been helping people in Greater Kansas City buy a home for almost a century now. Interstate Federal Savings, 5 locations.
It's Advance Carpet's giant factory-authorized sale. For a limited time, get special pricing on a tremendous selection of fine carpet at an unbelievable $9.98 a square yard. Like Cabin Crafts carpet featuring stain blocker. 90 days same as cash, no interest, no payments till September. A tremendous selection of fine carpet at just $9.98 a square yard during Advance Carpet's giant factory-authorized sale. 2 locations including 95th and Blue Ridge, or call for free decorating service, 483-0700. Hurry, sale ends Saturday.